Hey guys, so let's try this again. Seems like once I want to start filming a video, that's when I get the call from Amazon and distractions. It's like once I start a flow, makes sense. Anyways, today I want to talk about the cultural change that's happening since the last election, but realistically, the last few years I would say has been a major cultural shift. The I mean, it's a terrible way to describe it because this word is totally not what it used to mean. Just like how base lost its meaning, woke lost its meaning. Because woke now means like, uh, you know, very leftist, like identity politics stuff. When it comes to like the sexuality movements or racial movements, um, and some political movements as well. That's not what woke used to mean. Woke used to mean being aware of how the government and the man and the system is keeping you down. Specifically, probably the black community would be where that really originated from. And it's kind of been lost in that same sense. Like, it still does mean that too, but it means so much more. But I feel like it was good where it was. But yeah. So yeah, today I want to talk a little bit about that. Take a quick snap again. Thankfully, I still have enough of this bowl. It's okay though. Nothing like getting hot. Yeah, so yeah, so the world, well, at least here in the United States, in the Western world, there's been a big cultural shift. People are really um, swinging back against the identity politics that kind of took over since, like, I would say like 2012, 2013 is when I noticed the change really start happening. Um, that was right when I left college. Um, I noticed there was a change happening because I used to be what was considered a very left leaning person up until there was a change, and I remember there's always been this joke about um, Occupy Wall Street actually scared the establishment, as it should have, because um, that was really, I feel like, the last cultural movement that felt organic, felt grassroots. That's why it was dismantled and co-opted into other movements. Uh, yeah, it was because Occupy was so scary to the establishment that things about identity politics really got pushed a lot more. I noticed it when I was in college. Like, it definitely became a heavier topic, more and more, both racial and sexuality things. Which, I get it. Like, I'm actually very like, yes, the police are very unfair to like the black population, especially here in Southern California, the LA area, the Mexican population, the poorer populations. That's something I definitely have not directly experienced because I'm neither Mexican nor black, but I have enough friends who have told me, they've had their encounters with what felt like racism, and I fully acknowledge it's real. Like, that's real. Um, that was really why I mentioned in another video how I did participate in a lot of BLM rallies in 2020. And that's because I agreed with the idea that there's a racial injustice here. I still stand by that. It's both in authoritarianism and in economics. That being said, I do feel like the movements that exist now don't really want to change anything. They simply exist in almost like a non-profit state, just meant to exist and continue to garner more money through donations, through whatever fundraising they're doing. I just like the hierarchy to it. I just noticed that this didn't feel like it was going anywhere. I think it's interesting because this past weekend in LA were the ICE protests, and I could see a very similar vibe. Um, I get it too. You know what I mean? Like, there's a definitely a double-edged thing on the deportation issue. One, I don't think that law-abiding, you know, citizens who just have been good people working jobs, I don't think they should be deported. But on the other hand, there is a massive influx we've had of criminals who've come through our unsecure border. So both things are true. Both things are true. The left and right both have a point. Doesn't make, you know what I mean? Like, there is an issue. There is an issue with violent offenders on the street. I was like, you know, very like, okay, defund the police. I was trying to really be like, yeah, I think it's a good idea when I was out there marching. And I feel like now working the locksmith business again, like being the guy that cleans up the mess after the break-in and the lack of police response, and like literally I had to hand keys over to a squatter because he got the cable bill in his name. And in California, if you have a utility in your name, you have to go through the eviction process even if you never signed a lease to be in the place. It is a little crazy too. You know what I mean? Because I also understand that there's nothing inherently wrong with, you know, being like a property owner. It doesn't make you a bad person or evil. Being someone with some sort of wealth doesn't make you inherently bad or evil. You don't deserve bad things to happen to you. But I understand the disdain that people have too, because I come from that kind of mindset, and I've shifted over to like because those people aren't actively thinking about making your life more shitty. They're just so engrossed in their own life and their own well-being that, well, they sometimes lose sight of the people around them, and I can see that being frustrating. But I would argue most times it's not malicious. Most people aren't malicious in general. Most people are good. There are some malicious among us. They're usually damaged from something. But I also understand, just like, you know, when you are somebody that's in poverty, or you're someone that doesn't get fair treatment, you know, for like a racial reason or an orientation reason. Yeah, I understand like a hostility you almost kind of feel towards the world because of how you're treated. Kind of comes back to the life isn't fair. You know, you gotta have a stronger mindset. It's not always fair though, because I know that there are a lot of people who are tested far more than I've ever been tested. So I can understand how tiresome that would become. How it'd make you kind of, you know, lose it a little bit. And I feel like we really embraced that for the last 10 years. Like, you know what I mean? There's been a real cultural, like, protect those who are victims. And yes, that's a good thing. We should. There are people who are oppressed, and they should, you know, be met with people who are there to uphold them. But I would argue some have learned how to almost weaponize victimhood. You know what I mean? Because now, because of social media specifically, character attacks are a thing you can do now that you could not do prior. And character attacks can actually really ruin your life if it's done strongly enough. You know what I mean? And if you put the right slant on anything, you can defame anyone's character if you really choose to. So there's been a real acceptance of doing that to people, and especially if you are the oppressor. You know what I mean? It was okay to basically like shame you publicly as often as possible, and you're just kind of expected to take it. And a lot of people have kind of been like, no, we're not doing that anymore. Go fuck yourself. Yeah, and I also kind of get that too now, because it's just, I don't like bowing to the mob either. That was kind of the disdain I had a little bit with the BLM movement when I was in it. You know what I mean? I don't want to, like, I don't want to be the white dude in there who's going like, oh, well, I'm not one of those kind of white people though. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, I understand, I'm not trying to dismiss your story, but like, you could tell like this real, sometimes like the things they would say would just be very much like, hey, kind of not cool. And I'm not masochistic enough to sit here and take that, so, you know. Oh, but I don't mean you. See, that's How often have we heard someone say that, like a white person towards, someone else? Oh, no, no, but I don't mean you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a two-way thing to it. I think we lost that because we just kind of got caught in like, what is the power set dynamic in this world? And I think that's all this really is. I think adulthood is just a maturation of understanding of power dynamics. When we're young, we're still trying to figure it out. It becomes very, it just escalates because you don't know how to do things as a kid. But as adults, I feel like we just become more sophisticated in that, and that's what life is. And I think that's the difference in generations, is that the power dynamics will shift around every generation or two. Things change, and I can tell that we're in a change right now, and it's going away from what was considered the woke or social identity left, towards this new right that's not conservative. I don't know. It's got a little bit of that like 1980s America. You know what I mean? And I did not like Reagan, so it is what it is. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what the solution is here. I don't think there is a solution. I think it's just an observation that we clearly have gone into a cultural shift and a change. I can see it from both sides because I'm on both sides in some regard. I'm not a centrist either. I'm usually just I have a disdain for establishment. I think it's all against us. It's not like, oh, we need to find a middle ground. It's like, no, this is all bad. That's why Free Luigi. I always go back to the only time that Jesus used violence was against the money changers in the temples. Because when someone's using like power dynamics or influence to incite something that's violent, but not directly, sometimes the only thing you can do is meet that with direct violence. That's why a lot of us say Free Luigi. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what the culture turns into and how they see justice. Alright, guys. This one hopefully doesn't get me canceled. If it does, then I'll enjoy this week because I won't be able to get that one. I'm in internet jail. There we go.